Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. So I have a really cute card to share with you today using this stamp set from Whimsy Stamps. This is the Penguin Snow Days stamp set, and I've got the coordinating die set as well. These were very kindly sent to me from Morva Crafts here in the UK, who's a new stockist of Whimsy Stamps products. So if you're based in the UK, I'd encourage you to check out her website. She's got products from Gina K Designs, Altenew, and now Whimsy Stamps, and then a few other products as well that are card making and craft related, and also cross stitch too. So I'll leave a link in the description box below, but definitely check her out. I actually found her a while back when I was searching for some Gina K Designs ink pads, and she was the only stockist in the UK that had the colours that I needed in stock. The service I received was excellent. So go and check her out, especially if you want to support a small business like me. So I've got a card panel that's 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I'm going to stamp the image in some Versafine Onyx black ink, as you've just seen there. I'm then going to stamp the same image on some Gina K Designs Mask and Magic paper. So again, this is a product that's available from Morva Crafts in the UK. I'm going to ink up the image in Memento black ink here, just because it will dry quicker. It's a dye-based ink, whereas the Versafine Clair is pigment-based. So the pigment inks takes a few moments to dry, whereas this will dry pretty much straight away, which means I can start fussy cutting it immediately. Now, if you wanted to preserve your mask for a bit longer, then you could stamp it in the pigment ink, clear heat emboss it with some Wow Clear embossing powder, heat set it, and then your mask would maybe be a little bit more durable, but I find this works just fine. So I'm going to remove the backing paper now, and as you can see, it's divided in two on the sheet, so that makes it really easy to remove. And then I'm going to line it up with the image on my card panel and make sure that it's nice and lined up. We don't want to end up with any ink blending in areas that we don't want it, and equally we want to make sure that the ink blending's gone in all the areas that we want it to. So it's important to line your mask up, so take a few moments to do that. And so I'm going to add some ink blending now to the sky, and I'm going to use these Gina K Designs ink cubes. Again, if you're in the UK, these are available at Morva Crafts. I'm using a lovely lavender, plum punch in the navy, blue raspberry and blue lagoon, and I'm really going to try and create a blended sky that kind of looks a bit like the Northern Lights. And so this is a really fun way of creating that gorgeous winter sky. So I've added the lovely lavender first, and then the plum punch, and then I'm blending those two colours together. I'm then going to add in the navy, and you'll see that I'm working off my glass mat and then off my mask, and that's to make sure that I don't get any harsh lines with my ink blending. As you can see, I made the mistake there with the blue raspberry, and I have got a little bit of splotching because I went straight onto the cardstock and not the mask. So it is good to ink up your brush, get a bit off, whether you've got a glass mat or a non-stick media mat, just to take off some of the excess, and then blend from off the mask onto the card panel. We're deliberately leaving some white space at the top because I want this to kind of just go into the background. And yeah, it's just going to look really, really fun when we finished it. I'm then going to add a very light mist of water because Gina K Designs inks are water reactive, and then that will just hide any imperfections in my ink blending. And then I'm just going to dab off the water with a microfiber cloth just to lift that colour off, and you get this really beautiful, gorgeous sky. And the kind of real fun comes from when you remove that mask and you see the beautiful crisp outlines. So I'm just going to peel this off now, and because the Mask and Magic is really good quality, I'm going to be able to pop the release paper back on the back of that, and then I can use it for another project. But you can see we've got that gorgeous, gorgeous sky there. So like I said, I'm going to put that release paper back on, store that in the back of the stamp set, and then I know I've got a mask ready to go. But I'm just going to pop that panel to one side for a minute while we stamp our images, our focal images, and I'm going to use this really cute skiing penguin. So I'm going to stamp him in some Versafine Clair ink. Now, again, this is a pigment ink. It is not recommended to use pigment inks when you're using alcohol markers, which I'm going to be using today. However, I really like the crisp black ink of the Versafine Clair, and I just find that other dye inks that I've got in my stash just don't give me the same stamped image. So I'm happy to stamp in pigment ink, leave it to dry for a few moments, and then I'm going to come in with my alcohol markers. and that way I'm just going to be really careful around the edges when I come to add the alcohol markers, just so that I don't blur that ink. But I find that this just works fine for me, but whatever works for you best. And if you've got any recommendations for me of dye inks to try, I have tried Memento and I have tried the Obsidian ink from Gina K Designs. But yeah, I still just prefer the Versafine Clair. I just love the black stamped clear outline that you get from that. So I'm just using my Ohuhu markers here. These are brush tip and bullet tip markers that I've got. Again, I'll leave these products linked in the description box below. I do have a discount code with Ohuhu as well. So if you're interested in alcohol markers, then do check them out. I really enjoy using these, and I definitely don't use them half as much as I should do. I'm adding a few gel pen highlights here just to finish off the image. And I just think this penguin is really cute. So to cut out the image, I'm using the coordinating die, and I'm just using my Spellbinders Scout mini die cutting machine. I absolutely love this die cutting machine because it's so cute and small and it fits perfectly on my desk, and you can see that's die cut that perfectly. Now I want to add a coloured matte layer to my card panel. I'm not sure whether to go with the black or the blue at this moment. So I'm just going to pop those to one side, and I end up trimming my panel down now to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And that'll fit really nicely on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch top folding card blank. And then I'm going to trim down a matte layer in black card because I just think that will bring the whole design together without introducing a different shade of blue. So I'm going to add some Barely Arts liquid glue to this black panel now, and then I'm going to stick that to my card base. I'm first of all going to add some foam tape, but really what I should have done before I did this was stamp my sentiment. I thought I would stamp the sentiment and add it as a separate layer, but I do decide in the end to stamp my sentiment directly onto the card panel. So if you're trying to recreate it, I recommend stamping your sentiment before you add the foam tape. Now, because I want my sentiment at the very bottom of the card panel, I am able to still get away and stamp on it, but I go ahead and add the penguin, which has added some more dimension, which has made it even more difficult to stamp the sentiment. So yeah, definitely stamp your sentiment before this point. And now, because I realise I'm taking a big risk, I'm stamping my sentiment a couple of times on some white card to the side. Because it's a new stamp, I just want to make sure it stamps nice and crisply, and then I'm going to stamp it directly onto my card panel. But you can see we get away with it, and it still looks really good on the finished card. So there's my finished card for today. I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it's helped you to see how you can create some really gorgeous ink blending really easily and simply for a really stunning result. Of course, all the products that I've used will be linked in the description box below. And don't forget to check out Morva Crafts if you're based in the UK. I highly recommend checking her little shop out. It's got a really great selection of products, both from Gina K Designs, Whimsy Stamps and Altenew. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.